Okay, so I believe this is recording, and let's talk about your final cut, what needs to go into your final cut. So your first cut was the complete structure of your video, right, from start to finish. You utilized the VSOT that your presenter gave you. You used all of that VSOT or just some of it. You utilized quotes from the interview. You picked out which camera angles, that sort of thing. But a couple things you did not do were color correction and sound mixing. So we're going to cover those two things once more. Now you've already done color correction before. You did color correction when you did your multi-camera interview. So this is a little bit review in that way. But we want to color correct just about every clip. We want to go ahead and color correct because the cameras that you filmed with filmed in a really kind of flat, low contrast style that's meant to be color corrected later on. So I'm going to review that clip by just with a couple clips here. I'll go ahead and do it here with this, this muffin one. I'm going to color correct this and show you what goes into that. So first I need to go into my effects panel, and the effect that I need to find is called Lumetri Color. Same one you've used in the past. I just drag and drop that effect onto the clip, and then I go into Effect Controls, and I find that Lumetri Color effect that is on that clip. So there's other effects that are on your clip, effects called motion, opacity, and time remapping. Those are all default effects that are on every clip. They don't do anything unless you mess with the controls, but Lumetri Color is an effect that you've just added. I click on this drop down, and I'm just going to do basic correction. Now, a couple things that I can do. If I think the color is off on the clip, for some reason I think the color is not quite right, maybe with the camera, the white balance hadn't been set, or it just doesn't look quite right, I'm going to start by changing the temperature and the tint of my footage. So the temperature will make this footage either darker, or sorry, cooler or warmer. And then the tint will make the footage either more green or more magenta. Now that's kind of eyeballing, isn't it? It's a little bit of eyeballing. One way that I can be a little bit more precise with getting my white balance correct is finding something in the frame that's supposed to be white. That's not blown out. It's not white because it's blown out and it's just completely bright white, you know, like the sun or something like that, but something that's supposed to be the color white. Like this board is supposed to be the color white, right? If I have something like that in this image, that can be a good thing for me to find. So what's something in this frame that you think is supposed to be white? Now the trick question. The tray. Yeah, the tray, right? So maybe not, you know, this part of the tray is a little bit overexposed, it's too bright, but up here, around here, this part of the tray is, around where my cursor is, sorry for the recording, right around there is probably supposed to be white. So I can actually take my little dropper right here, this right here, when I click on it, my cursor turns into an eyedropper, and I can click on something that's supposed to be white. And it looks like the white balance is already pretty good. It didn't have to make a very big adjustment. I'll show you what it would do if I did it in the wrong place, if I put it on this cupcake. It would make a really weird adjustment, right? If it's adjusting everything based on this being white, it makes everything very cool. So I know that's not quite right. But when I click on something that's supposed to be white, it gives me a pretty faithful color representation. So this is why those clapboards that you use, this is why they have so much white on them. It's also why they have that rainbow of colors on them, so that you can figure out your colors when you're doing something that uses a clapboard. It kind of doubles as a, we call it a gray card or a white card. So if you have something in your frame that is supposed to be white, that's not blown out, that's not like, you know, completely just overexposed, then you have a shortcut there. Otherwise, you're kind of eyeballing. You're using the temperature and tint to eyeball to make that look the way you want it to look. The second thing that all of this footage will need is just a little bit of contrast. I'll show you two ways to add contrast. One way is to go to the shadows and make those shadows a little bit darker. Can you see the difference there? And then to go into my highlights and make my highlights a little bit brighter. I don't want to go too much brighter with these highlights because I have some stuff in here that's blown out. But just to add a little bit of shadows, the other thing I can do is just go to contrast and add some contrast. Now, you can go too far and make the footage look really wonky. The rule of thumb, and this is an eyeball rule, this is something that you just get better at with your eyes. The rule of thumb, when you're trying to determine whether an image that you have, I'll turn off the light so you can see better, is exposed properly. The rule of thumb is that the brightest part of your image should be just below pure white. Should be just a little bit more gray than pure white, the brightest part of the image. And the darkest part of your image should be just above pure black. So when I'm looking at this image for color correction, what's the brightest part of this image? Not a trick question. What do you think? What's the brightest part of the image? The tray, yeah. This tray right here. Now some of it's a little bit overexposed just in the camera. I can't really fix that. But I want this to be just, if I can, just below bright white. Now you have to use some judgment sometimes. When you have footage that is just way too overexposed, it can look a little bit weird to bring that overexposed footage down into the gray territory. I'll show you what that in a second. But I want to find something that's properly exposed but still the brightest thing. So really I want like this area, the same place I put the eyedropper, I want that to be just below pure white. And what do you think is the darkest part of the image? The muffin is brown, but it's not the darkest pixel in the image. What's the darkest part of the image? It's like maybe this sleeve in the corner or this shadow up here. Now if I go into my effect and I reduce my contrast, I can get the detail from those shadows back. It doesn't look pure black anymore. But I want it to look like the darkest part is just on pure black. So to get there, again, I'm eyeballing it for my darkest part. If I go this is too far. I've gone too far. I have too many things that are pure black in the image. If I go right about to here, I'm getting just to the point where this very dark place is pure black and everything else is above pure black. Now I'll do it with some overexposed footage. We have some overexposed footage. Sorry, Nora, you're on screen for a second. We have some overexposed footage. I'll show you what I might do with this footage. I'm going to add the Lumetri color effect to it, just like that. And then I will go to Effect Controls while I have that clip highlighted. And with this one, I'll go into Basic Corrections. I'm going to ignore the white balance for now, but let's go to Exposure. I might have to turn down the exposure on this somewhat. But if I go too far, it starts to look a little bit artificial and weird, right? So I have to sort of accept that some parts of this are just going to be overexposed and I can't fix that. But I can turn it down the exposure a little bit. And then to help maybe kind of mask how overexposed it is, I can turn down my shadows a fair amount and maybe increase my contrast a little bit. And that starts to look a little bit more natural. The white shirt is going to be overexposed no matter what. This corner up here is going to be exposed no matter what. Make sure that you are getting your exposure right in camera or as close to you as you can in camera, because it can't always be fixed in Premiere. But this is probably close enough. Also, something that you might do, as I would probably do in this clip, is there might be clips where you want to crop in, right? Like maybe I don't want to see all this overexposed stuff here. So if I have this clip, I could click on it and I could go to the effect, not the Lumetri color effect, but the motion effect, and then go to scale, and I could scale up a little bit on this one. And also I could reposition it slightly. I would be careful about scaling up footage beyond 100%. I've scaled this one up to 130% just because I need to crop out that bright highlight in the upper left, but I would be careful about scaling up footage beyond 100% as I've done here. Really only do it if it's like absolutely necessary. So you might do that with some clips that you have, but not with others. And some clips you might actually need to scale them down. I know the Miss Kitties group filmed some footage in 4K, so you can scale some footage down and not lose any quality and get more of the picture because you're not seeing the full picture right now in there. So you'll do your color correction. You're going to go through clip by clip and get that color correction done just using Lumetri Color to do that. Lumetri Color, some judgment, your eyeballs, getting that taken care of, and maybe the eyedropper there. Second thing that you'll want to do is add some music underneath. It's a good idea to have some music, and it gives you some experience with some sound mixing. So you have a few different options for music. You've actually already downloaded several music files from this class, right? Those, you can consider those like your default music files. What are the names of those music files again? They have like weird, funky names, don't they? Like Yellow Tree, Dr. something, Dr. Dream Love or something like that. The Smell or something. There's like Enjoy the Smell. I don't know. You have those. You are welcome to grab those. Those are royalty-free songs, so you don't have to credit them. They are completely royalty-free. I got them from a royalty-free music website. If you want to get some royalty-free files yourself, I'm going to show you where to do that. There's a couple different places to go, but one that's just a tried and true fail-safe one to go to is called freesound.org. Everything that gets uploaded onto Freesound is royalty-free. Royalty-free means you don't have to worry about copyright infringement. You don't have to worry about crediting. You cannot just put like your favorite Taylor Swift song underneath one of these videos as the background music, right? Because that is a copyrighted track, right? And you would be committing copyright infringement by using it in that way. But you can use things from different sources online. You can purchase a license to Taylor Swift's song. You can pay her some money, pay her label some money to use her song in your video, or you can get something from a royalty-free site. So Freesound is the one I use. You do have to create an account to do it, but it's a free account. You don't have to pay anything for it. And I'll go ahead and log in here. All right, and what I like to do when I'm looking for something is I search for a genre. So if I search hip hop as a genre, I will do an advanced search. And one thing I want to do, a lot of people use Freesound for samples for like 1 second long things, like a psh, just like a one like kind of simple sound or something like that. I want to filter out all of that stuff. I don't need like random click whooshes and bops and things like that. So I'm going to make sure that everything I choose is at least 60 seconds long. I should be able to apply that, maybe. I guess I have to do 60 and there we go. And I've got a few different options here. This is a drum kit one. I think it's only going to play out of my speakers here. Will it play out of the... You guys get a sense for what that sounds like. Oh yeah, there we go. A few options here. Okay. Now, again, like Freesound is great. Sometimes it's a little bit of a diamond in the rough. You'll get a lot of stuff that's not going to work for you, but eventually you can find something that's good. Then you simply download it. You find the download button for it. And then you add it to your audio folder in your 5-folder setup. Make sure it goes in that audio folder in your 5-folder setup. And then you can add it to your Premiere project. I'm going to go ahead and add one of those default sounds that we've used earlier in the semester. So let me find one of those. I'll add Dr. Dream Chip. We have to do some mixing now. So when I drop this sound underneath the video and I just hit play, and I'm sorry it's not playing out of the speakers. Give me a second here. I want to make sure it's playing out of the speakers. Should be playing out of there. I'm not sure why. There we go. All right, I'll turn it down on here real quick. When all I do, if I just add the music track, I just add it to my bottom track so it's not interfering with anything else, and I hit play. What's the problem? The music is just way too loud, right? So to turn down the music and to mix the music a little bit, I need to hover my mouse in between two tracks, find the track that I want, the one that's a music track, and expand that a little bit so I can see it a bit better. And then I will see this horizontal line going across just above the center of that track. That's my volume line. If I hover over that, I can click and drag that down, and you even see the waveforms go down as I do it.
The after-school arts program, ASAP for short. We're attending a cupcake decorating class today.
Still too loud. So the rule of thumb, I think, especially with beginners, is the music needs to be probably about half as loud as you think it needs to be. You can tolerate the music being too loud because you already know what the person is saying because you've listened to them say it so many times. But for someone who's watching your video for the first time, they need that music to be quite a bit lower. The music is not there for us to vibe to. The music is there just to kind of fill in empty space and maybe to set the tone a little bit. So I've turned it down quite a bit.
Lots of different activities all throughout the week for students to attend after school. They set up here at the library as well as
So that's probably closer to what I want to do. And I'll show you one more thing you can do. You can actually make this line move around. You can mix the sound so that the volume of the music goes up or down over the course of the track. So what I've done is I've just turned down the volume for the whole song. But if I want the song to be a little bit louder for one component, like maybe during some B-roll, while it's playing some B-roll and no one is speaking, if I have something like that, maybe I'd like to turn up the music. I can do that by using the pen tool. It is this tool right here. You can also get to it just by typing the letter P on your keyboard. And when I use that and I click somewhere on that line, it creates a little thing called a keyframe. When I make another one, it makes a second keyframe. And then when I go back to my regular selection tool, I can click on that keyframe I made and turn up just that part. So what's happening? What's going to happen from here to there? It's going to get louder. You're right. So if I want to do that, if I want to do some mixing, I can. Here's your goal as you're doing your audio mixing. Your goal is that the person who's watching this video never has to turn their volume up or down the whole time they're watching the video. So what you should do in your audio mixing is add your song. You're also going to be mixing the other components here. So if there's a big difference, I'll turn this back down. If there's a big difference between the volume of Nora speaking and the volume of Michelle speaking, that's a mixing issue. I need to make sure to fix that. So let's hear if there's a difference there.
So all things arts after school. Let's go.
My name is Michelle Bolton-King. I am the executive.
Is there a difference there? Can you tell there's a difference there? So Michelle is recorded just a little bit quieter than Nora. Nora is outside projecting her voice, and Michelle is not doing that. She's not expected to do that. So how can I fix that? Let's listen to it again. You tell me if there's a mixing problem here.
Listen to the arts, access to all things arts after school. Let's go.
My name is Michelle Bolton-King. I am the executive director of.
Is there a mixing issue there? What can I do? You walk me through it. I forgot. Tell me how to fix this. Oh no. Did you forget to? That's okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my zoom rockers, zoom in here a little bit so I can see these tracks a little bit better. I need to turn up Michelle's audio here, right? I find that line, bump that up. You can see those waveforms and get a little bit bigger as I do it. And let's see how that sounds now. Let's hear that transition again.
All things arts after school. Let's go.
My name is Michelle Bolton-King. I am the executive director of ASAP.
And again, my goal is that the person who's watching this video never has to turn the volume up or down. Right? That's my number one goal.
The after-school arts program.
And so I'm going to bump up all of these examples of audio so they are the same. Now, wouldn't it be nice if there was a shortcut, right? So I could get all of these audio levels the same across all of these clips here. Wouldn't that be nice? So I don't have to go in and manually turn up every single one of those. Well, you're in luck because there is a shortcut for that. What I'm going to do is right-click and choose Copy, and then go to the other clip that I want to mess with. This will also help you if you need to do color correction across various clips. I will right-click, and I don't choose Paste, but I choose this option called Paste Attributes. And then I choose which attributes I want to paste. I don't care about pasting any of these things, the motion, opacity, time remapping. I haven't made any changes there, but I do want to paste. What I'm doing is I'm pasting the volume settings from this other track onto this one. So I'm pasting the volume settings. Click OK, and it does that. And I can do that for multiple tracks. I can choose both of these, right-click, paste attributes, and I'm just pasting that volume attribute right there. And it does it. Okay. Does that make sense, folks? Great. Last thing I want to show you is color correction of your interviews. Color correction of your interviews actually might be a little bit easier. So for the ASAP group, when you did your multi-camera interview, you made a couple different sequences, right? You made an interview camera A sequence, and you made an interview camera B sequence. Do you remember doing that? ASAP folks? So here's the nice thing for you. If you want to color correct every single time that you use camera A in your sequence, every time we see this shot, and I want to color correct every single one of those, I only have to color correct this sequence right here, the one that's called interview camera A. When I add the Lumetri color effect to that sequence, and when I do my Lumetri color, if I do my basic correction, I'm just going to do a quick white balance on her name tag. It's already pretty good. I'll just add some contrast here, something like that, make it look nice. When I make that color correction to the sequence, it will be reflected in this one here as well. See, that change is already reflected right there, so I don't have to go in like bit by bit to color correct that. I only have to color correct what's in the sequence. Okay, this is where it gets complicated because there's one more thing I have to tell you, but it's actually the first thing I should have told you. So, eyes up. Sorry, this is the first thing I should have told you. I'm sorry. It's going to be in the recording, but the people watching the recording only are going to be upset. The first thing that I should have done before I did any of this, and this is the last thing I'll show you, I will tell people watching the recording to skip to this part and do this first. The first thing that you should do also has to do with your sequence. What is the... when you exported your video, you exported from that sequence, and the name of your sequence was something like ASAP Sage Cut 1, right? That was the name of your sequence you were working from. Other people, do you remember the name of your sequence that you were working from? Like your, what's that?
Just cut one.
Cut 1, yeah, sure. You called it Cut 1. Now, I want to actually keep cut 1 the way it is. I want to have a cut 1 sequence that's just the way it was when I turned in my first cut. The reason is because maybe as I'm making these edits, I might make some big mistake. I might screw up something, and it might be really hard to go back. If you play video games, you know what a checkpoint is in a video game, right? It's where like you get to a certain point, and then it's saved, so that if you go and fight the big boss and you lose, you don't go all the way back to the beginning of the game, you just go back to that checkpoint. We're going to do that same thing here. Find your cut 1 sequence, the same one that you exported, right? When you exported your first cut, find that cut 1 sequence, and we're going to right click it and just duplicate it. Right there, duplicate. It will make a duplicate sequence called ASAP Your Name Cut 1 Copy 01. I don't want it to be called Copy 01 though, so I'm going to right click it and choose Rename. If I can find that. There it is. And instead of calling it Cut 1 Copy 01, I'll just call it Cut 2. And then double click and make sure that that Cut 2 sequence is the one that you're editing for this final cut. So that's the first thing you should do. I'm sorry I forgot to do that first, but make sure you do that Cut 2. That's the first thing you should be doing, and then you can do your color correction, audio, and of course those fine-tune adjustments that I gave you. You have the rest of today's class time. You have Thursday class time to work on this. This is due Sunday by 10 p.m. So, any questions? What's the most confusing thing that I covered today? Yes, Nora?
When we're copy and pasting like color correction stuff, what
Yeah.
if we click on that thing, like for the,
Under paste attributes.
yeah.
Okay,
where you click on
so all I have to do to start is just click copy, as if I'm going to copy the whole clip.
Right.
I'm not actually going to do that. I'm only copying the attributes from that clip. Then I go to my next clip, right click, and the option I choose is paste attributes. A bunch of different options here. So actually, if I had done color correction on that clip, I would see on here, I would see the option to copy and to paste my Lumetri color options. I would see that here. I could do that if I wanted to. What I'm copying in this case is just the volume. That's the only thing I'm pasting over, is I want the volume on that clip to be the same as the volume on the one I just copied from. Does that make sense? You just checkbox the ones that you want to paste over. Other confusing things from today. Your videos are in a really good shape. I'm really impressed with how far you've come, and I think you should be proud of yourselves. We'll give yourselves the rest of the time today, and I'll get this uploaded for you to review in case you need it. All right, and someone hit the lights on your way out if you don't mind. Thank you.